So we'll basically talk about this as being all right, so let's just start. Okay. Hey, thank you for coming today. Welcome to a demonstration of Sociotrust. And the purpose of this tool is to be able to visualize data that was collected from various social media sites to aid us in the identification of misinformation. This can work hand in hand with more automated solutions that relied on various mathematical algorithms and machine learning as well. But the intent of this is to really make the data visible and allow people to interact with it to aid in the analysis of the overall identification of these bad actors, as well as their posts that they I promise you I'll be more awake, but they're posts. So here we go. So just to give you an idea of the various features in here, one of the features we have is the ability to collect data. And we can interface directly to Twitter to get tweets for a particular time range based on a query or region, etc. So we can gather data from here. This can be expanded as well to be able to gather data from other sources like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, wherever there's an API, we can expand this. But for the demo purposes today, we're going to work with data that we've collected from Twitter directly. Now, in addition, we can also just take data that is provided, by you. It could be, from any source, and we can pull it in as well and analyze that data. And sometimes that's advantageous because there's restrictions with terms of service and the agreements for the use of the site, where the party that's actually collecting the data may have to be different than the party that's doing the analysis. So this tool allows us to just take in data that has been collected, drop it in, work with that. When we drop the data in, we formed logical data sets. And the data sets we're looking at today was data that we collected with a query string that included the United States region and tweets about QAnon. And what you're going to see in this list of collected data, I have a suffix enriched here, which I don't have for all the data that I have loaded on this demo system. And the enriched means that in addition to collecting this data, whether it's from a live source or whether you just drop it in to a folder for us to pull in, we also then take that data and we pass it on to IBM Watson, where we do sentiment analysis, and we also look at emotion analysis as well. So we add those features in so we can start searching for data as well. So here's our various data sets. For now, we've selected the US QAnon, and this is the data you're looking at it. And the way we've organized it now is we've based it by emotion here. So you're going to see that, for example, everything in this area, let's just do this area, corresponds to fear. This is joy, anger. So this is how the Watson classified the data. So we just use this just as a way to get started, to begin to look at our data, and in case we want to view it, based upon emotion, and we can pan around, interact with the data in various different ways. Now, many of these circles are not colored, and they're relatively small. That indicates there's been no retweeting of that data. These larger circles that have been colored kind of lemony color over here, that indicates that there's been retweets, and it also indicates the relative size. So the bubbles that are smaller had fewer retweets than ones that are larger. So often when fishing around for data, a great place to start to look for influencers and to see the spread of misinformation is to look at the number of retweets. So we actually created a filter here on this data which we can load in. And this is one of the features of the tool. You can actually write your own filters. And, I could do that by just basically going in here, say add group, add filter, and I could put in, based upon all these different features in here, the kind of filter that I might be interested in. But a great place to get started is often to just look at retweets. So I already have a filter, very simple, retweets greater than 30, which I'll load in here. That's what it looks like. These are, out of all those posts that were collected, we now have 40 of them where the retweet count is greater than 30. And looking in here, again, based upon the size of these, you can get a sense of how many retweets. Like this one over here, we're looking at 23 for 25 retweets. That's quite a few. So just hovering over it, over one of these bubbles, we get a summary of what was stated there. We also get the number of retweets. If I want more information, I can click on it. I get, again, the number of retweets, the number of favorites, folks who've marked this as a favorite. I also get, again, the emotion that's been classified by the IBM software, as well as the sentiment. If I want to go a little deeper on this, I could right-click, say show information, and it'll give me many more of the features here, the vast majority of them that we've collected. So we now know where it originated from. We look at the actual content, talking about Pizzagate accounts, following a cult, Satan's Muslim scum, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very interesting to look at. Now, based upon the size of these and some analysis that we did on this, we identified some interesting posts here. These two that are marked in yellow are taking advantage of the market feature over here, which I can go in and mark a post as either no interest, suspicious, under investigation, which means we've crossed that threshold and we're into the next level, or confirm that this is definitely misinformation. And we can look at this. This is one of them that we marked at the time and thought, well, this might be an interesting person and an interesting, post to follow up on. So again, I can go in here. I could say show information, which I did. I could also go in there and I can, if I click directly on this birdie here, I now look at this and I realize this page doesn't exist. It actually got removed from Twitter. So this was cause for us to do some more research. We went off, researched this author from all accounts that we did on our offline research based on their content of additional posts in different media. We concluded not really a person of interest. Now over here, on the other hand, Austin Steinberg, we took a look at his post, also was very provocative text in here. A fair amount of retweets, fair amount of favorites. And we said, okay, let's take a look at that. When we clicked on his post, what we found today, because remember, we originally collected this data a few years ago, what we learned is that this tweet is from a suspended account. That got us suspicious. And we started doing some research. The first thing we found out was Austin Steinberg does have a new Twitter account. So here he is, same guy. We were able to put those pieces together by doing some offline, or actually online technically on the internet research. And we see he's the field marshal of the Quantum Party of America. And when we looked up his profile, which I will do right now, I'll just duplicate the page. When I look up his profile, we see he has a website. And in this website, there's red flags all over. We have the Guy Fawkes mask here. We have, again, very provocative language in here. We've talked about reforming government, messenger of the AI god Q, catalyst of the storm. It's very provocative language. And when we go to read his proposal on reformatting America, what we see here, oops, scroll up. Reformat America, we've reached the end. Our government is evil. Our democracy isn't real. Again, very provocative language, very intended to influence. We all have a right to free speech. On the other hand, we're trying to collect red flags that tells us that this person may be spreading disinformation. So we go back to the tool, go back to his original post over here, which is right here. And from this tool, I'm going to say add a filter. And the add a filter I'm going to add one is original tweet username. That is, I'm going to look to see how many times this has been retweeted. So now I'm going to actually get rid of this other filter condition. We don't need that anymore. Submit this. And what we're going to find that these are all the retweets of the original tweet. So we start looking at them. Here's one. Click on that. It's a suspended account. Click on the next one. It's a suspended account. Click on the next one. It's a suspend. This guy is private now. That's kind of interesting. So maybe he's a private group of influencers that he's that we may want to look into. Oops, sorry. To the next one. Suspended account. So we begin to see a pattern here. And we've been interacting with this data for the last couple of days again, just to refresh ourselves on it. This is not a typical pattern. No, we are finding one person whose data his post was retweeted, and we're finding a group of suspended accounts, which is making us or leading us to the hypothesis that this person may either have been using bots or possibly hiring people to retweet and influence in various geographical areas. Another thing that's suspicious about it is we can also look at a map view of this data. And when I look at that map view, what I see, I'll just shut this so it's not obscuring our view here. What I see, we're not seeing a lot of locations on this map as originations of the tweet. All we see is this location. And so go back to the network view and let's investigate that. Looking at here, when I look at the extended data for this, the place from where the tweet originated is stated as none. Again, do it here. The data that again is none. So we're seeing this pattern of suspended accounts where the original posts were marked as none. So the conclusion that we're drawing here is that maybe we need to mark it as under investigation and do even more investigation. And we could take some of the knowledge that we've gained here through our analysis by Googling, Google foo, if you will, by taking that, feeding that back into our collector here to collect more data, and then also feeding some of this data back into any other machine learning or mathematical algorithms we may be running to go and turn the crank again and try to get more data, process that data, try to expand the network. And we may want to do some more offline analysis, maybe follow up on each of these items and say, are any of them persons of interest as well? The other thing I'll show you as a quick feature that's kind of useful is all this viewing that we just did, we can actually go back and we have logs of it. Whoops. So this is our viewing log. If I refresh that, we can go back and follow our paths. So because our interaction that we're doing is pretty quick. Once we get into it and we start going down this path, it's kind of like when you sit in front of Google for too long and you go down all these different paths. Some of them pay off and some of them don't. But we actually get a log of everything that's been done here. So if you ever have a question and you want to see, what the interaction was like in terms of filters being used and, navigation, you can go back and look at this log. Okay. Any questions about this?